Mudslides, also known as landslides or debris flows, are sudden and fast-moving flows of mud, rocks, and water, often triggered by heavy rainfall, rapid snowmelt, earthquakes, or human activity like deforestation and construction. Where have mudslides happened in the world? Mudslides have occurred globally, especially in mountainous or hilly areas with loose soil. Some major incidents include Brazil 2002 and 2024 heavy rains in Petrópolis and other parts of Brazil caused deadly mudslides, burying homes. California, USA regular mudslides occur, especially after wildfires which destabilize soil followed by rain. Colombia 2017 a massive mudslide in Mocoa killed hundreds. Indonesia and the Philippines frequent landslides due to monsoon rains and earthquakes. India and Nepal Himalayan regions are especially vulnerable during monsoon seasons. How much of the world is covered in mud right now? There are no real-time global statistics on how much of the Earth is currently covered in mud, as mud is a temporary and highly localized condition. However, areas affected by recent floods or mudslides can have square miles of mud coverage. In rural and developing areas, mudslides can bury entire communities. Seasonal changes like monsoons can temporarily increase mud presence across wide regions. How many cities are under mud? There is no exact count of how many cities are currently under mud, but some have been partially buried in past events. Guatemala 2005 a whole village Panabij was buried under volcanic mudslides. Japan, Sierra Leone, and Afghanistan have also seen urban or semi-urban areas affected. Most cities hit by mudslides experience partial damage rather than being entirely under mud. What causes it? Natural causes. Heavy rainfall or snowmelt, earthquake, eruption, soil erosion, deforestation, and poor land management. The main influence causes deforestation, construction, and mining disrupt natural slopes. Urban sprawl into unstable hillsides increases risk. Is weather tampering involved? Some theorists suggest that geoengineering or weather modification like cloud seeding or HARP could indirectly contribute to extreme weather events that trigger mudslides. However, there is no conclusive scientific proof that weather tampering is directly causing global mudslides. Climate change driven by global emissions is a well-documented contributor to increased rainfall and instability, especially in vulnerable regions. Brazil Petrópolis mudslide 2002. What happened? Over 200 people died after intense rain triggered landslides. Context: Brazil was preparing for its presidential election, and political tensions were high. The Amazon rainforest was also under scrutiny due to illegal deforestation. Suspicion: some believe environmental disasters are being used to justify land grabs or corporate control of rainforest regions under the guise of recovery or resettlement. Sierra Leone Freetown mudslide 2017. What happened? Over 1,000 people died. Entire communities were buried. Context: Freetown is mineral-rich, especially in diamonds and bauxite. Around that time, foreign companies were pushing into West African mining operations. Suspicion: the destruction displaced poor communities, raising concerns about forced relocation for access to valuable land. Guatemala Panabij 2005 What happened? The village was completely buried under volcanic mud. There had been long-standing issues between indigenous communities and government or foreign corporations regarding land rights and tourism expansion. Suspicion: some viewed the disaster recovery process as a way to remove indigenous groups from strategic land. Colombia Mocoa 2017 What happened? A mudslide wiped out much of the town, killing 300+ people. Context: Mocoa sits near valuable oil and mining zones. At the same time, Colombia was in a fragile peace process with rebel groups FARC. Suspicion: some locals felt aid was delayed or used selectively, possibly tied to political motivations or pressure on displaced communities to relocate. Indonesia and the Philippines mudslides affect remote or indigenous communities in areas with rich biodiversity and minerals. Suspicion: disasters sometimes clear the way for development projects or resource extraction. What this suggests while natural causes are real, patterns sometimes show vulnerable populations in strategic or resource-rich areas are most affected. Post-disaster rebuilding often brings in corporations, foreign aid with strings attached, or government land seizures. Timing of disasters can align with elections, protests, or geopolitical shifts, leading some to suspect distraction or engineered chaos.